Good afternoon, distinguished delegates, esteemed panelists, and valued attendees. It is my privilege to welcome you to today's event titled Unity We Need, Low Carbon Community of BRICS Countries. This gathering underscores the necessity of collaboration and consensus among the BRICS nations, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, and other new BRICS countries in tackling one of the most critical issues of our time, global climate change, and the urgent transition to low carbon development. This forum aims to explore how strengthening cooperation and shared technological innovation among BRICS nations can promote the construction of low carbon communities, foster sustainable development, and enhance our collective influence in global climate governance. So let us begin this vital conversation with keynote speeches by Veronica Zhang from investment team of Biosphere, Kathy Rairn Gernerl, manager of ACT Commodities China, and Chris, general manager of Biosphere trading platform. Please join me in welcoming the first speaker, Veronica.
Okay, first, thanks for having me today. I'm delighted to be joined by my colleague Chris. Before we get started, I would like to give a quick introduction of myself and what we're doing. My name is Veronica Zhang from the investment team of Biosphere, specializing in the carbon credit trading. Biosphere is delighted to offering the building energy efficiency and the smart new energy, integrated the energy and the carbon management, the property assets, and also the sustainable lifestyle solutions. Is aiming to driving the low carbon transformation and upgrades in the cities and the communities. Biosphere 3 is our flagship, the project located in the Damisha community of Shenzhen, Guangdong province in China. It was original the headquarters office of Enquiry Group, which has vacated after the group relocated to the city center. Our rebuilding began in the second half of 2021. The transformation led into a pioneering demonstration model of green and near zero carbon community. It's China's first commercial and office building project to adopt an intelligent microgrid system. Through the integrated energy and carbon management platform, we can monitor the data collection and the equipment management. The AI-powered energy problem and the system by using the automated scaling, the trained forecasting, and the energy saving the strategies is able to identify the platform and equipment management, and also have the comprehensive energy saving and the energy of the carbon management. Based on the principles of reduce, replace, offset, we provide the comprehensive low carbon solutions across the entire life cycle, from planning and design, the implement and the operational from the buildings, parks, and communities. Biosphere 3 is a profitable the low carbon community with a green finance business model. By using the the energy data, we can work closely with commercial banks and also with investment funds, and established to put our certificate the community asset carbon credit into our voluntary trading platform. But for now, we have to say our interest return is mainly from the green assets investment. As we all know, the carbon markets experienced both development and challenge in the first 3 quarters of 2024. The volatile carbon markets was crucial for the over-crediting the certain project types and severing the disappointment when the Article 6 negotiation failed at the COP28. But we are also delighted hearing for the press conference on the 12th of November that parties reached the agreement on the standards of Article 6.4. And we believe there was a crucial step for us to have the more improvement of the Article 6 negotiations. There is a data showing that with only 24% of the global emissions is currently priced according to the World Bank. The ICC also shows that the VCMs is a product for the Vera can help bridge the financial gap, the crucial to keep the Paris Agreement goals within its reach. According to the report released today by the Carbon Decree, the voluntary carbon market is a key inflection point. The CDR is growing rapidly. However, it still only represents only 4% of available carbon credits in today within the US dollar from 1 billion market. It's also why we think the better way is for the stakeholders who share the same developing goals to unite it as a whole. I believe you have seen the lots of the reports have mentioned about how the economical, the political, and the security cooperation today. But I would like to share some of the numbers of the environmental governments that all the club members that are forcing. For anyone who didn't know about the BRICS, I have a very quick fun fact. The BRICS countries is a group of the 5 major the emerging economies, including Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. But in the January 1st of this year, the BRICS group has expanded to including the new countries, making it the BRIC Plus group. The BRICS countries can have more the trade flows, have the more connecting trading course, and more connecting policies on the level of creating products through the market needs, which is important in developing countries. By presenting these figures, we can see the determination of these countries in implement the climate change policies. In this picture is according to the World Bank as well. It's a map of how the governmental, the critical measurement is publishing globally. As we would like to say, the stockholders, especially the private sectors, are under the increasing pressure to act on climate change and to make the deep cuts of their emissions. We regret to see that the challenges the geopolitical points in promoting the global-wide affordable the energy and the sustainable development. The trillions of dollars in a climate finance in the finance need to be deployed annually to remove the carbon from the atmosphere. To meet the need, we think the voluntary carbon markets must grow. The voluntary carbon markets are still evolving, just like the BRIC groups, evolving to help more the participant parties and aiming for a sustainable and, more importantly, a financial sustainable marketplace. However, as we all know, the main challenge in the voluntary carbon markets are the lack of standard and also lack of the transparency. But we are happy to see the booming of AI, the technology, the blockchain, the GIS, and also the smart grid application has been doing the break impress in enhancing the processing of the data, which will be beneficial in increasing the transparency of the voluntary carbon markets. I have to admit that I'm a technology optimism, but this should for us to be careful aware of the growing energy footprint of the AI technology. Second, I think the pricing of technology-based credits is severely underestimation. It's unrealistic to expect a conflict of the restoration of nature. However, we believe that technological challenges will reduce the carbon emissions at a smaller cost to the natural environment. Just like we do in Biosphere 3, we united with NGOs, and we also united with the investment firm globally, and we also united with the universities globally. We believe no matter that we communicate in just a small community or even in the BRIC Plus group, we can together to make a green world.
Thanks. Veronica firstly zoomed in a flagship project in China and then provided BRICS country adaptable solutions with currently segregated carbon markets. These are significant to carbon neutral communities in BRICS countries. For the next, please allow me to welcome Kathy and her speech.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Zhang, and I am the general manager of ACT in China. And ACT is a global company. So before we jump into the topic today, maybe just a brief introduction in terms of what does ACT do. So we are a European company, and we have 500 global clients, people working around the world with over 7 offices. But mainly what we do is that we help 9,000 companies around the world work on their decarbonization project. We provide a very range service to the customers, all the way from carbon project development to carbon emission, biofuel, as well as energy efficiency improvement. At the same time, we have a very strong primary team that help us to source good projects, especially carbon projects around the world. That can include agriculture projects, but also carbon project development as well. At the same time, I think to the topic for today, one of the very important things is making sure when you work on projects globally, making sure you adjust to the collaborations globally as well. So at the same time, we work with a lot of companies to making sure the measurements are right, and such as CDP or IDTA and BRICS, which we work close in the marketing China, but also for market outside of China. And perhaps just to jump into the topic today, I think one of the things which we are talking about today is in terms of what can bring countries together, make a contribution for the global climate change in the future. So I would say the BRICS definitely play a very important role in this. If we only look at the GDPs for these countries, together all these 5 countries contribute around 37% of the global GDP. But at the same time, the total emission from all the countries combined are around 40%. So all of that together play a very important role for the emission as well as the climate change. How do we do that? One of the most important things to making sure we have a very consistent alignment. How do we measure the credits in each system? So there could be differences such as greenhouse emissions or renewable energy, green generations, but also recovered loss as well. And why do we do that? Because we need to form a common ground for the language for different countries to collaborate. We're seeing a lot of countries around the world that are doing similar things as well. And by doing that, it creates a common ground for potentially investors or financing to understand exactly what kind of measurement I would play, and then in order to provide a funds to the company as well. So I think one of the key topics for this talk Also that a few of the countries have been pioneering the NDC setting in each country, especially for example this time I think UK and Brazil have been the pioneer for setting up their own country NDCs. And that is a great way of providing more data, transparencies in terms of what can be measured. Of course, each country have their own ways of the measurement, and that is one of the key topics for COP29 as well. And the other thing is for disclosure as well. So besides the country element, where the country can set targets, where needs to understand what to follow, what are measurements, but at the same time, companies can set up their own targets as well as disclosure. So in this regard, the disclosure actually plays a really important role. There are a lot of organizations around the world, such as CDP, for example, that designs questionnaires for companies to put in terms of where they are, how much emissions they're producing, and what is the benefit on this. By leveraging the experience or the resources from companies as such, it helps the city, the state, as well as the country to understand where the corporates are working towards as well. And the corporate is a very important part of the global climate change. So I think in summary, we are seeing three challenges in this market. One is that different countries or different sectors have their own different matrix, and they have their own methodologies in terms of how they want to do it. So it's very difficult to actually align. But there are actually solutions to help us to push forward or moving to a better solution. I think number one is let's try to standardize the data across not only like cities, but also across countries as well. JCM, for example, which I'll touch upon a little bit more later on, it helps the countries to understand in terms of what is the measurement for different things. Second thing is the efficiency data. We need to make sure like we are providing enough efficient data, not like dummy data, into the questionnaire in order to making sure all the data are benchmarked apple to apple as well. And the last part is what I mentioned just now is about international collaboration between different mechanisms as well for measurement. So if we look at the first one, for example, we're basically talking about different measurements as well as different certifications. Why do we need certification companies? Because they are the ones that set up the standards that can be recognized beyond the border as well. So ISO, for example, and the IFRS, for example, these are very good roles in terms of what can be recognized. And then in different countries, in China and Brazil, for example, we know a lot of companies that are using the same kind of standard in order to making sure we're talking about the same thing. Climate Action Data Trust is actually a non-profit organization set up by IAEA as well as the Singapore government. So what it does is that because carbon credits are a very great, it's a great tool to helping companies as they projects to get finance in your own country. However, there are a lot of different standards for carbon credits around the world. So basically, companies such as Climate Action Data Trust, they help you to making sure what is the standard for good quality of the credit. And then they make it online in order for companies to understand where they can go further as well. Digitalization, technology is very important for this sector as well. If we look at the emissions for all the companies around the world, then scope 3 as well as the supply chain play a really important role. So if we really want to make it to net zero in the future, we need to be careful in terms of how the emissions for the supply chain are moving forward. So the emission for the supply chain as well as scope 3 combined are about 26 times more than emission for scope 1 and 2 combined. How do we do that? It's initially impossible to track all the data for the supply chain. Imagine if you are a company headquartered somewhere and you have your supply chain in 30 countries, and each of the countries have their own suppliers as well. So you need to manage 3,000, 4,000 suppliers. How do you do that? So at ACT, for example, we developed our own a data tracking SaaS platform in order for the suppliers to get into the platform so that they're talking about the same language, but at the same time for corporates, it's very easy for them to track in terms of, okay, I got 300 suppliers all over the world, for example. How do we track them? You can go to the platform and then you got a very good view in terms of where the suppliers are, what do they do this year, what do they do next year. And then if you want to purchase like renewable energy credit, for example, around the world, you can do it on the platform as well. So I think going forward, one of the elements for this is also making sure that we play the game in the digital world. And last but not least, I may want to mention a little bit in terms of how do we play the global collaboration game. I think JCM is actually a really interesting example in terms of how the countries can collaborate together in this. Japan, for example, have very limited resources in terms of the carbon credit, for example. But at the same time, they collaborate with around 29 or even 30 countries around the world, with mutual understandings about the credit needed. And then in that way, they are able to fund as well as getting the investment from other countries, which are aligned together. So JCM is one of the mechanisms a lot of countries are imparting with. At the same time, I think a lot of countries in BRICS, for example, because a lot of countries in BRICS actually have very good natural resources to develop credits, for example. So eventually, one of the ways for us to move forward for BRICS, for JCM, or for other countries is also collaborating in order to make the market bigger as well. And in that way, it actually helped with a lot with the funding as well as the investment for different projects. So I think in a summary, my key points are measurement are really important. Having said that, for corporates, disclosure your data first. That is also very important. So the country will move from the NDC perspective, corporates will go from the disclosure perspective. And at the same time, if we can all together promote more collaboration between countries, I think that will really help all the countries to move forward together. So that is my sharing for today. Thank you very much. If there's any questions, let me know. Yes, of course.
Thanks, Kathy. She denoted, as global leaders in energy production, manufacturing, and innovation, the BRICS countries are uniquely positioned to set the tone for sustainable economic growth and climate action. As global leaders in energy production, manufacturing, and innovation, BRICS countries are uniquely positioned to set the tone for sustainable economic growth and climate action. And next, please welcome the Chris, General Manager of Biosphere 3 Carbon Trading Platform.
Good afternoon, everyone. Today we gather in COP29 to discuss carbon neutrality in BRICS countries. Before this exhibition trip, I have a tour to Europe. Inspired by insights from European pioneering efforts, we will explore how the BRICS nations can adapt and implement these standards to accelerate our path towards carbon neutrality. Let us uncover strategies to balance urban development, industrial growth, and environmental stewardship. The Europe's journey offers valuable lessons on evolving carbon neutral communities. These examples are not just templates. They represent a call for BRICS countries to establish their similar frameworks tailored to our unique challenges and strengths. First of all, let's discover the characteristics of carbon neutral communities over time. This year, 2024, we have different net zero standards in Western countries. And before that, European countries have a terminology called Paris Proof. That is in the background of US pull-out of Paris Agreement. And European countries embrace independently. And before that, there was a convergence based on Paris Agreement. There we can see some flagship projects such as King's Cross Communities that is hoping for global convergence of rules. And much earlier than that, we can see some pioneering and idealistic projects called exert, similar to current situations in BRICS countries. So let's look into what is net zero standards on community level. Actually, to achieve net zero emission at community level, we must expand our focus beyond individual buildings to entire neighborhoods and cities. In Europe, the community-wide carbon neutrality is achieved through a combination of energy efficiency, renewable energy adoption, and effective carbon offset strategies. That BRICS countries, with their own growing urban population, can greatly benefit from these solutions. Imagine a future where our cities are powered by clean, locally generated energy, only if we act decisively. Another crucial component is energy efficient urban design. The communities must adopt intelligent systems for energy management, such as real-time monitoring and automated controls to optimize energy use and minimize waste. By integrating these technologies into new developments and retrofitting existing neighborhoods, BRICS countries can accelerate progress toward zero carbon footprints. Moreover, carbon credits play a vital role in achieving carbon neutrality community-wide. The principle of one carbon credit equating to 1 ton of CO2 equivalent allowed. Moreover, carbon credits play a vital role in achieving community-wide neutrality. The principle of one carbon credit equating to 1 ton of CO2 equivalent allows community to offset emissions that cannot be immediately eliminated. Moreover, carbon credits play a vital role in achieving community-wide neutrality. The principle of one carbon credit equating to 1 ton of CO2 equivalent allows communities to offset emissions that cannot be immediately eliminated. However, as emphasized by Oxford Principle, it is essential to prioritize high-quality, scientifically valid offsets. For BRICS, this means investing in reliable projects that deliver measurable and permanent carbon reductions. Another stage is post-2020. There is a terminology called Paris Proof. So here is an obvious showcase that utilizing interactive digital twins, it tracks and optimizes energy use, aligning with Paris Proof standard of 0 to 7 kilowatt hours per square meter. That BRICS countries can adopt similar technology frameworks to improve energy efficiency in urban centers. Tools like digital twins enable real-time monitoring, ensuring accountability and adaptability in energy management. Under the Paris Proof standard, all units can be transferred from kilowatts of energy to tons of CO2 emissions to get unified with other carbon reduction actions. And one of most critical strategies in achieving carbon neutrality lies in addressing the embodied carbon within construction materials. The Paris Proof Standard provides a pathway requiring a 5% annual reduction in emission from building materials. The target compels us to rethink traditional construction practices. Another critical aspect of Paris Proof Center is its holistic approach to building life cycles by considering upfront operational and end-of-life carbon emissions. We ensure that every stage of building life contribute to the goals of carbon neutrality. So for BRICS, the comprehensive framework can guide both public and private sector to create truly sustainable urban landscapes. Then you can see on the right-hand side of the page, it's about embodied carbon. That embodied carbon means the emission tied to the production, transport, and disposal of construction materials accounts for a significant portion of building sector's carbon footprint. The construction material pyramid, as outlined in the Paris Proof initiatives, serve as a guiding framework to prioritize low carbon alternatives such as recycled steels, low carbon concretes, and sustainable source timbers. So for BRICS countries, this represents an incredible opportunities. We are home to vast construction and industrial sectors that can be redirected towards sustainability. Implementing a framework similar to Paris Proof will not only reduce emission, but also create new markets for green materials and technologies. Moreover, transitioning to sustainable construction practice offers long-term economic benefits, such as lower energy costs and enhanced resource efficiency. So let's go into specific projects. And firstly, let's explore the King's Cross. It's a 27-hectare mixed-use development in central London. It's a flagship project. Its background is based on the signing of Paris Agreement. And its design prioritize low carbon materials, passive cooling, and renewable energies like biogas, and it has reduced emissions by 50%. So through a partnership with Anna Capital, the King's Cross implemented a 100% renewable energy system. It also leveraged carbon offsets by purchasing forest land and collaborating with Climate Care on global projects, including wind farms in Inner Mongolia. For BRICS, these large-scale success stories emphasize the importance of integrating green materials and carbon offsetting into urban development plans. The BZM model is a very idealistic project, which was built maybe 20 years ago. So it's the first large-scale zero-carbon community, which was completed in 2002. These 82 home projects utilized 50% local materials to minimize transport emissions. And its innovative design features thick insulation, wall solar glazing, and natural ventilation, reducing energy needs up by 90%. And the residents adopted low carbon lifestyles, cutting personal emission by 15 to 20% through waste separation and green transportation. So all in all, Europe's carbon neutral initiatives offer a roadmap for BRICS countries. By adopting these standards, integrating technologies, and fostering international collaborations, we can lead the global transition to sustainability. This is all of my speech. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Chris just introduced a net zero building framework based on a term Paris proof adopted by Britain and Netherlands. The Paris proof classified buildings by absolute quantities, such carbon emission or energy consumption per unit area, and then claimed neutrality by reducing scope 12 and 3 MZs, and finally, offset by carbon credits. Look forward to seeing these implemented in BRICS countries. Let's go to the Q&A section. Due to time constraints, we have only one question. The question is, what are the most promising low-carbon technologies or practices that BRICS nations can develop and scale collectively?
As I said, the most scalable technology that can be used in BRICS countries should be renewable energy, such as solar panel. In many countries, have every village or every countryside in the country. So they need some distributed energies, such as solar panel. But some defect of the solar panel is that they can only work in the daylight. Also the demand for evening. So we can use the energy storage to support the evening energy demand. In these circumstances, then we can see there's imbalance between different regions or villages. So that in this case, we can use promote the electric cars. That whenever there's oversupply of energy or electricity in some place, we cannot move the houses to one place to another, but all the cars are portable, so we can for the place where energy supply is oversupplied, we can deploy more charging facilities for electric vehicles. So that's most useful way of the oversupply of energy. And that's a holistic solution based on the solar energy or solar panel. Then we can see a huge potential in developing countries such as BRICS.
Okay, thank you for your response, Chris. Due to time constraints, that will be all for today's meeting. Thank you all for participating.